Welcome back to Tabletop and Table Scraps Powerpointless. I'm Fred.
I'm Sean.
And Sean, today I'm going to teach you a little bit about board games.
Okay.
So first off, what do you know about board games? Let's see where your baseline is.
So my baseline is this. So before I met you, the most complicated board game I ever played was Monopoly.
Okay.
Now I can never play Monopoly again without a bunch of house rules. Because it's just not as interesting.
I've ruined you.
Yeah, playing things like Settlers of Catan really opened my eyes as to what board games. Scythe is amazing. Matches of Madness is a really good one. Gloomhaven, I still haven't played it yet, but the box art is amazing.
Yeah. That's like D&D in a box.
I'm a huge H.P. Lovecraft guy, so there's so many board games based in that, and I can't believe I missed out on that opportunity. Card games too, like the most complicated card game I really played before I met you was probably like Uno, poker.
Oh, all right.
I didn't even play Cards of Humanity until I met you.
Really?
Yeah. So
damn.
I guess that's why I'm Table Scraps, because I don't know shit about board games. I enjoy playing them. I think they're a lot of fun. I like the more role playing aspects of it. I take it back. Actually, the most complicated tabletop game I ever did was Dungeons and Dragons. And I played
I was going to say, you do have
I played that for years. I started off with the Big Red Box.
Oh, okay.
And then I went up to 3rd edition and 3.5. Then Pathfinder, and now I'm in 5th edition. I also did D&D next. That was terrible, but the company recognizes that too. So that 5th edition is actually really great. I have my gripes about it here and there, but it's mostly because I'm a 3.5 lover as much. So that's what it is.
Yeah, so you're an old school D&D player. Because all the old school D&D players always say 3.5 is the best edition.
It's because
the only edition.
Because that's the one they all start. Whatever you start off with, but I'm pretty sure. I don't think anybody's saying the Red Box is the best, but.
And most games in their early iterations are not great.
I also played Magic the Gathering and also played Yu-Gi-Oh! I never played Pokemon, but I did collect the cards.
Same. I didn't really play Pokemon. I think I played it maybe once with a friend, but I really played Magic the Gathering a little bit here and there, and Yu-Gi-Oh! I even went to a tournament once for Yu-Gi-Oh! So I'm definitely there with you on that.
I've accidentally won 3 Magic the Gathering card tournaments.
Wow.
And the reason why I was by accident is because the biggest weakness at the time was everyone had these really overcomplicated combo decks.
Yeah,
and
okay.
I would walk in with literally the most basic fucking deck ever. Mine was like
a starter deck?
Like pretty much a starter deck. Like an intro.
You might have added 1 or 2 cards you really liked to it.
Ironically enough, the guy who taught me how to play, shout out to Justin Smith. I'm going to say his real name too. He's a good guy actually. He actually never beat me in Magic the Gathering. He was the guy who taught me how to play. And at first he was okay with it because I was still learning how to play. But over time he did kind of get upset about it. He would put so much energy into building his decks, man. And he was one of those guys who would show up with like a fucking rolling bag.
Oh,
Several rolling bags for the deck.
Yeah.
In fact, my first deck was made out of scrap cards that he had no use for.
Dang.
Yeah. I would keep my card counts pretty low. I never had more than 60 cards in a deck or any of that crazy shit. Whatever the minimum was, I was going for the minimum because I wanted to go for the damage. I had like a basic red deck. So I was just knocking things. I had a blue deck, a blue and white deck. So I had Lone Wolf. I was just chipping away at people's life points while they were trying to build these combos.
And that's before it got all complicated with all the
if I was to play it now, I wouldn't know what the fuck I was doing. Like,
just like with Yu-Gi-Oh! It's gotten so fucking complicated now. Yeah. But we've mostly been talking about more modern board games. So we're going to take a quick jump back in time and talk about a brief synopsis of the history of board games. Just a couple snippets for you. We've got Senet, or the Game of the Gods, from 3001 BC. We've also got Snakes and Ladders, which dates back to 200 AD. Right. I wouldn't have thought Snakes and Ladders, or in America, Chutes and Ladders, would have dated back that far, but it does. And then we've got Kriegspiel from 1824. German game. Didn't actually look into that a whole lot because that sounded weird. But we've got the major question of talking about the history of board games, which is what was the first board game? And the first board game is actually not officially known. It's argued about. They have a debate whether the game of Ur, or the game that was found in Ur, which doesn't really have a name, was the first one, or if Senet, which is a multicultural but primarily Egyptian board game, was the oldest one. They do have boards that have been dated back as far as 3,500 BC. It's a long ass time to have we physically have the board for it, and pieces, so we know that this thing is real and it existed.
Could you go to a store and buy it now?
You could actually. They do have recreations of this game, and you could buy it right now. It's a weird game. It's a 2-person game that is played kind of like a mix of Chinese checkers and cribbage.
Okay.
But you throw 4 sticks instead of dice to determine how far you can move your piece. And the number you get to move is the number of sticks that are flat side down, because it's a flat side and a rounded side.
Okay.
Or you get to move maximum distance if all 4 sticks land on the rounded side. And that's also debated as what is maximum movement. It really just depends on whoever's telling you how to play the game.
Okay.
But this game specifically was a major cultural discovery in Egypt. The evidence shows that the evolution of the game showed us that how the Egyptians view death and their potential ideas on what happens in the afterlife and what your soul goes through to go through the afterlife.
This is so dumb. If you was Sean, design a board game, they will explain today's version of life and death and all this other stuff. I've been I don't know, man. I don't even know where to start.
Right? I mean, they went so far with this board game that around 4,300 years ago, we have visual depictions of deceased playing with the living, playing this game.
So this
on walls.
So this
there's
board
pictures.
game gets kind of wrapped up in their mythology and everything. That's
a
dope.
little bit in the mythology, but more so in the just why do we exist and where do we go after death? They fucking pulled this board game into that explanation.
That's awesome.
Yeah, even so far as to have King Tut, who is known scientifically to have been buried with 4 different Senate boards, 2 of which were made into full freestanding tables.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah. And they buried him with the dead so that the dead could play the game. They had full written descriptions and stuff about the game for the dead, so when they go to the underworld, they can kind of use these tricks.
They packaged it with instructions?
But not instructions on how to play the game. From what I read, it was instructions on how to traverse the underworld. So the game's board is supposed to be a depiction of the underworld.
Oh, so
the pieces are your dead. It's prep. It's prep for going to the underworld, Egyptian underworld. It's nuts. It's absolutely nuts.
It looks cool as shit, though.
It's a cool game, but a little more modern take. So a little bit more of the classics. And when did they first show up? I've got a couple here for you. We've got chess and backgammon, which actually go as far back as the 6th century. Okay. So that's, I believe, if I have my dates right, that is before the Middle Ages, or right around the Middle Ages. Monopoly came around in 1903, and actually, just to touch on it real quick, the earliest text referring to the origins of chess begin in the 7th century, but they were talking about the 6th century. So we know the game
They were
came
already
around
having
in the
back
6th.
in the day conversations?
Yeah, kinda.
What's all this fancy king shit?
And these texts were written in 3 different languages. One was Pahlavi, or Persian, Middle Persian. One was in Harshacharita. Sorry about my pronunciation. And then the last one was in Sanskrit. Damn. They wrote about chess and backgammon in Sanskrit.
It's got to be the most internationally known board game of all time, right?
It is one of the most internationally known board games of all time. It is, chess at least, is the standard currently, so far as I know, for how you rate intelligence. If you're a good chess player, you're by default an intelligent person.
Oh, okay. I don't know how to play chess. I never played it.
Yeah, so people, it's a stupid way to do it, but it's the way that people do. Do you know any of the history of Monopoly?
No, I don't know shit
No?
about it. I know that I negotiate at every table I play it.
You do. I've played Monopoly with you.
Yeah.
You're fucking ridiculous.
Hey
with
man,
that game.
look, it's a monopoly, bro. I'm running a business over here. Business has deals.
Funny you should say it is a Monopoly, because that's not the intended purpose of the game when it was created.
Oh, it was great.
It was created in 1903 by anti-monopolist Lizzie Magie, who hoped it would explain the single tax theory of Henry George.
So this whole thing was a reformation against some guy?
Yeah, it was intended as an educational tool to illustrate the negative aspects of concentrating land in private monopolies.
Now it's just the American dream.
Well, Hasbro, I believe it's Hasbro, bought kind of the rights to it, or got the rights to it, and revamped the game into pro-monopoly, propaganda.
Oh, so there's an anti-monopoly version of this game somewhere?
There's not. They didn't ever make the original game.
Okay.
She got it and had this idea, but I believe, now that I think on it, Hasbro I think beat her to the patent for the game. Somehow they caught wind of it. I didn't actually able to find out exactly how they caught wind of it, but they got the patent for it and they started producing Monopoly and
That's
just
awesome.
Totally jumped the gun on her.
Now it's fucking everywhere.
It's fucking
whatever
everywhere.
your favorite TV show, movie, cartoon is, book, kink. There's a version of Monopoly of that.
Oh, absolutely. But there's just as many copies of Scrabble, which in 1948, it was conceived in 1938, but in 1948, James Brunot, a resident of Newtown, Connecticut, in fact, and one of the few owners of the original Criss Crossword game, which was its predecessor, bought the rights to manufacture the game in exchange for granting Butts, the original inventor of Criss Crosswords, a royalty on every unit sold. So
I always kind of looked at Scrabble as just a version of that too. I always thought it was just a organized version of or a reusable version of a crossword puzzle.
Yeah, so Butts, I believe, was a crossword maker. He was a lexicographer. He was all about words and their origins and their meanings and all that stuff.
That's what that word means. Okay.
That's what that word means.
Yeah. How do you? What's the opposite of that? Is that just a Sean?
I don't even know, man.
About that. I don't know. Wait.
But he made a game called Criss Crosswords, which is more like an actual crossword style game. But Bruno took the game and changed it just a little bit, but used the same scoring for the letters and the overall system. He just made it a little more streamlined, a little more user-friendly, and a little more aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah.
So the current layout of the board is Bruno's design, not Butts' design. So here's one that I think you should know, but the name is the original name. Do you know Cluedo?
I'm assuming it's Clue.
You're right, it's Clue.
Okay.
Cluedo is still what they call Clue in Great Britain and other countries, but in America we call it Clue.
Why?
I don't know, because America's full of fucking morons. We don't like the dough part. We thought it was stupid, so we just hacked it off and called it Clue.
Maybe I'm just a dumb American. I kind of like Clue more than like Cluedo. I'm like, what the fuck?
Right?
Maybe it's just familiarity too.
But Cluedo actually has a really interesting, Genesis story. And as you can see, it's from 1944. Yeah. What else happened in 1944?
Oh, that's the Great Depression.
No.
No, sorry.
Close.
World War
Yeah.
II?
Yes, World War II. So, holed up in his house, Anthony E. Pratt, who was holed up in his house in Birmingham, England at the time during the air raids, recalled his murder mystery games that he played with some of his clients at private music gigs, as well as the detective fiction stories that were popular at the times, most notably Agatha Christie. So he's getting inspiration from this while holed up in his basement during an air raid and saying, you know what, I think I'd like to make a board game about
that's crazy,
this.
right? Because what I would be thinking during an air raid, it wouldn't be like murder mysteries that I saw. It would be,
No, he was thinking.
He was going, I wonder how I could turn my favorite.
Yeah, I wonder how I could turn my favorite books and games with my friends into a game that other people can play. And in 1944, he actually applied for a patent for his invention of the murder mystery themed game, which was originally called Murder. Just Murder.
Oh, that's so much doper. Yo, it should just be called Murder.
It's just called Murder.
Yo, Friday night, come to my house, we gonna get some popcorn pop and we gonna play Murder. that sounds a whole lot cooler than we're gonna play Clue.
Right? Now, the other question that I'm going to ask you is, why do we play board games? Now that we've seen a little bit about the history.
My original answer to this question, if you didn't provide that information to me, would have been to pass the time. But
that's a valid answer.
And now I'm starting to think these were to teach lessons or to somehow get people to understand complicated concepts in the form of play.
Valid answer as well. There's no definitive answer for why we play board games. There's actually several answers. Okay. We're going to talk about 4 of them, but yours is absolutely correct as well.
Oh, shit.
A lot of times, pass the time is absolutely correct. We just use that shit because fuck it, we're bored.
Yeah.
No, but we also... Right?
Hold on. I gotta ask. That is why we call it board games, right?
No. Board games are called board games because at least when they were older, they were always played with a board of some kind. But no, your statement on using for like educational tools is absolutely right.
One of the 4 smart things I said today.
Yeah. We use games, and like in schools, they use games to help kids learn about certain things that they should be focusing on. One of the biggest ones is how to be organized and how to problem solve. Because a lot of simple kids board games, like Chutes and Ladders or not Parcheesi. What's the Mousetrap? Okay. They're just all problem solving games. They also aid in developing of working with your classmates, or how to work like competitively, but not like I'm going to fight you. How do I be competitive while not being a giant dick? But today we're going to talk about stress relief. A lot of people play board games for stress relief.
Yeah, this must have came up before Monopoly. That is destroyed families.
Yes, it absolutely has. There is a survey from Real Networks Inc. that of 5,000 people that said 64% of that 5,000 play board games primarily to relax or induce relaxation. And 53 people play it just to release stress or relieve stress. A lot of board games that people play or choose to play engage the receptors of your brain that release endorphins because they're fun and you like playing them. So when you go to play it, it just releases those endorphins and you just feel better.
All right.
Yeah. We also play board games for memory building.
Now this I always thought was the case because I remember going to school that we would play all these different math games.
Yes.
And I was really good at math. That's why I'm still good. Why I'm okay at math now. It's because I still remember how we used to play all those different games. Just the memorization of things like the multiplication table and things like that.
Right. Yeah.
Well. And then we would do teams and things like that. We played a lot of math games, so that makes sense that it would be for memory.
I think flashcards came around as an educational, maybe not game, but tool that was based off of card games. They're like, oh, card games are fun and they have numbers and we need kids to learn math, so why don't we just combine the two?
Yeah.
And I mean, they're meant to be fun, so you're going to want to do it anyway. Yeah. And it helps you interact with people, and it helps you build memories not just in memorizing things in a game, but it helps you build memories in life. Like, you just have a good time.
Yeah.
Like, me and you, we play board games all the time. And would you say that you can remember better one of the times me and you play the board games? Well, even if you win or lose, just some of the moments when we play board games over, like, some of the random shit that you did in, like, high school.
Yeah, I actually definitely.
Yeah, because it's fun, it's engaging.
Especially if it's like this tense. Like,
you get that, like, adrenaline, that fight or flight mode, maybe, if it's like an action game.
The frustrations you feel when you're playing Catan and you don't get the fucking numbers you need. Or somebody moves the goddamn robber.
They move the robber, or you have exactly what you need in your cards, but it's more than your hand limit, and then you roll a 7.
Every fucking time.
Oh, the rage that I see. Yeah. It's so tasty. We also play board games as an easy icebreaker. Like, if you're in a new setting of people, but you are socially aware enough to not immediately run out of the room, an easy way to kind of break that ice is to just play a game.
Yeah, I can see how to bring people together. Like, every time you go to parties, stuff like that, there's always games. As you get older, too, that becomes more and more of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Less dancing, more activities. Yeah,
especially it comes to the culmination point when you're in high school and you go to college. You go to a college party and you have, like, beer pong and flip cup. They're just games, board or otherwise, that we've invented to break the ice, bond with the people around us, and add structure to the chaos of just everyday life. The last one, primarily used as a parental tool for kids, is to reduce screen time. Screen time is damaging to kids in the fact that it has been said that more than 5 hours of screen time a day for children under the age of 12 will actually lead to potential health risks of, like, anxiety, depression, bad eating habits, and potentially just kind of overarching nervousness. Yeah.
Getting a kid to sit still and actually play a game is with a group of people all sharing the same rules and concepts.
Yeah.
It does help. I do think it's funny now, though, that a lot of the new board games involve your phone or tablet.
Oh my god, I know.
Yeah,
oh my god, I know.
Screens are now being integrated into the board
like
game.
Mansions. Yeah. Mansions of Madness now has an app on your phone to help you play.
Like
so you're not
board game we played one time.
You're not getting away from your phone.
Yeah, you can't get away from it.
But then, of course, the final reason we play board games, because they're fun.
They're fun. They're all fun.
They're just fun. So why not? So I hope you learned a little bit. I know it was brief, but I hope you learned a little bit more about board games.
Yeah, I didn't know any of this shit.
You
would ask me. I wasn't even sure. If you asked me to, hey, Sean, put these board games in order of the year of release, I'm like, they all came out at the same time, right? They all just magically appeared somewhere at some point in time. All right, well, this was fun.
That was great. Yeah. So
don't forget to subscribe.
There you go.
Hit that notification bell so you're always aware of our newest uploads. And
hit that like button.
Hit that like button. Share it. It's free to hit the button. It makes me feel good every time you touch that button. I like it when you press my button.
all right, we're gonna leave it on that. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.
I like how brief it was. It was a little, bro.